What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to M Cubed. Of course, I am Schmook here with two of my best pals. Brad, as you know, Brandon, this is a first time appearance, pal.
Happy to be here.
Good.
Thanks
good.
for having me, guys.
Oh yeah, you've been a little bit in the background once before, but I mean, you're fully on, so it's good to have you. And of course, we're going to talk about one of the most underrated superhero films of all time. It's in the background.
Yeah, playing right now.
Hype. All right. But yeah, so of course, based on the past two vids or streams that we've been on, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy has been in theaters.
Yes.
Yesterday, Spider-Man 3 was in there. So I guess we can get into it if you don't mind. So as we know, this is the film. Like, for some reason, it gets, like, put into that same category as, like, X-Men The Last Stand or, let's say, X-Men Apocalypse. But I'm like, I think this movie's far and above those movies, even though I do like X-Men Apocalypse. I will say that.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's still lumped into this category of, like, below average superhero movies, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where I would even say I feel like I've seen more people shitting on Spider-Man 3 than in X-Men Apocalypse. Even though that movie got a lot of shit, I like this movie miles more. But again, I'm a defender of that. But just to do some comparisons, at the very least, I definitely see a lot more comparisons between this and X-Men The Last Stand, which is very unfair in terms of quality's sake. Where I just don't think that's a very good movie whatsoever. There's good stuff in it. But, like, this movie has, like, a very clear-cut story and message to it where, let's say with Spider-Man 1, the main meaning and theme of that movie is power and responsibility, where you are gifted this unreal power and how you go about that.
And and then you have Gabi as, like, the dramatic foil to that.
Exactly. And then with Spider-Man 2, it's all about that balance of, like, how you balance that power and responsibility with your day-to-day life.
And as life is shitting on him continuously, despite him doing the ultimate good and kind of the ultimate, self-sacrifice, he's still completely shafted.
Right, where he could go to the Gabi route, where he just couldn't. He doesn't have to give a fuck, but he does. And then we get to this movie, which I think has a very powerful message after rewatching it, of course, last night, of forgiveness.
Yeah.
And being selfless.
Yes.
So
that's so true, man, because it goes into, like, well, you see literally because of the corrupting nature of the symbiote, he literally does become the absolute opposite of selfless, which is he's consumed by the negative elements of the ego.
Exactly.
That's all that the symbiote amplifies is the ego.
Right, where he loses his girlfriend, but he gained his best friend back there, but he ultimately loses his girlfriend because Harry, yes, he was dealing with some short-term memory loss, but he regained that memory and basically forced MJ to end things with Pete. And then, of course, you get that excellent encounter of those two, that epic fight sequence, where Peter's wearing the black suit and just
that one. Yeah.
Okay, yes. We are jumping quite a bit ahead, but of course we're talking about that main message of the forgiveness and selfless part, which is all comes into a conclusion at the end of this film, where, of course, Harry could never forgive Peter once he found out that he was Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And
which is kind of the reason that this whole part of the plot even happens. Like,
right.
Because a lot of it is, again, Harry having, I think, some level of, like, a justified, like, anger at just the whole thing, but him also being unable to let go is what causes so much of the rift.
True. I mean, there's a lot of factors. It's just like, he thinks Peter killed his father, and he ultimately is the reason why MJ is no longer with him either.
Yeah.
And
it's a jealousy, but also, like, for Harry, it's more about, like, the revenge, and it's more about, like, he cannot let go because of the because of the death of Norman.
Right. And all it took was a good bonk on the head, and I was free as a bird, says Harry Osborn.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think a big like theme for Harry as well. Like, I mean, obviously Spider-Man had his moment of clarity after realizing the symbiote was completely consuming him.
Right.
I think Harry's the big like redemption arc, because
absolutely
at the last second, I don't mean to skip ahead too much, but I'm just like,
fine.
With that, it's like he realizes, his father's wrong and that he's not his dad. He needs to be better than that.
Exactly. I guess we can go from the absolute beginning and then get into this whole point once we get to the absolute ending. But I remember whilst I was watching this again, the opening credits, they are definitely quite inferior to the ones we witnessed in Spider-Man 2.
That was my first single reaction, was we're sorely missing the Alex Ross art.
Right. It kind of goes back to that first the first movie opening credits a little bit, but I'm like, man, that art, man, how do you like not get back and do this imagery from Spider-Man 2?
Bro, and imagine Alex Ross painting Alfred Molina.
But just imagine Alex painting the train sequence.
That's what oh yeah, just that shot. Yes. I can see. One thing I really wanted to see is I can almost picture how he would do like the motion blur of like the twisting arms, because I like in Spider-Man 2, they have like a very specific design where like if you look in the comics, they're more like they're usually, and this is a huge comic nerd like just comment, but they're usually tubular, and they're usually with square claw like thingies. But in the movie, or mandibles, we could say, maybe, I don't know. But in the film, they're like it's all like triangular, like they're triangular in shape, like in the actual structure, and you can see the individualized like pieces to make it flexible, and they're all they have like they're triangle pincers. So just thinking about, again, another artistic choice, because he does the same thing with the eyes. I know that's such a nerdy thought, but I think about, like, again, Alex Ross's level of detail and how loyal he is to the classic look.
Sure.
Versus how he updates it, even though, Alex makes really good suit designs, like the one of Spidey with like the glowing symbol, and it's like more metallic. It's in the game. I think that's top tier. But anyway, I know that's a long tangent, but
that's fine.
Just to comment on the
opening sequence,
artwork and the design style, because of course, Venom has such a distinct style in this movie as well.
Well, this hit me also almost through the opening credits. I'm like, I never really realized how Elfman didn't do the score to this movie. Like, he did the themes clearly, but like it's Christopher Story, I believe is his name.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, I never realized that until yesterday when I'm like.
But Elfman obviously, I would say, wrote like the main like motifs, right? Like the Venom / like symbiote theme.
I'm pretty sure that's not Elfman, dog.
No way. Really?
No, and then of course the beautiful sequence of Sandman's birth isn't Elfman either, I don't think.
Whoa.
Ain't that blew my mind.
I'm looking that up on IMDb.
You go right ahead, man. You can fact check me. Like I was watching the opening credits and it just says score by Christopher Story, I believe is his name. And it said like main themes by Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
But regardless, I don't know what else this dude has done, but I love the themes in this.
Yeah.
If he did of course, the first black suited up, like of course as you did.
Ooh, this guy's got some interesting credits, dude.
Yeah.
He did the score for Sinister.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that's excellent. Yeah, Sinister. He did another Sam Raimi film, Drag Me to Hell. That's a pretty good one. Oh, he did the score for Ghost Rider.
Hype.
So that was the same year as Spider-Man 3. So he went off with the Marvel movies.
I mean, of course. I mean, I guess Elfman could have been busy, or maybe they wanted a different vibe due to the symbiote arc, potentially. But
Yeah.
who knows? But yeah, when I saw that, I'm like, holy shit.
Also,
Anyway.
the score for The Grudge, which I've heard is pretty solid.
I've heard
Anyway.
that's solid too. I have not
Yeah.
seen that, but I've heard
No,
it.
me neither.
Well, two pretty solid horror films, you know,
Yeah.
and with Venom being, you know,
That's
one of
true.
the
That's
horrifying
true.
characters.
Same for Ghost Rider.
Right.
Oh, that makes a
So
lot
I
of
feel
sense.
like, you know, he just has to put like dark, you know, like unsettling.
he needed
undertones.
the dark energy. That's
Yeah.
cool, actually.
Yeah, I respect that. But yeah, but again, that blew my mind when I saw that. But anyway, then we get into the actual movie, getting outside of the opening credits. So what hit me almost. So I love the whole beginning of this film, where it's just like Peter's on top of the world after everything that we've seen him go through in Spidey 2. Like,
Yeah, the opening. It's such a pleasant, like, the city was great, like, all
Right.
because of me. I'm Spider-Man. Like, it's such a very almost, you know, he sounds like the Ditko Spider-Man.
Right, and then he just like loves talking to the kids on the street, watching his reel. He's like, "Hey, it's gonna be playing again. You guys can stick around." They're like,
Oh, we're good.
We're good.
"We're good." I love that. And then he goes to see MJ and her play,
Oh,
and I love that scene. Where he's just like, "That's my girlfriend. That's
My
my girlfriend." Like, and he's so giddy. That's what I love about it. Like, it's
because
just
he's
like,
a real Peter. I think that's got to be playing to the timelessness of the character of just like Spider-Man and Peter specifically. I know we talked about this in all of the reviews, but mainly because Toby, I think, captures the energy so well of
true.
the true, like, who is Peter deep down. And he's this very earnest, just like very kind, fun guy.
Right, like, and of course in 2, where he's just getting like beat in the shit the whole time, we see him finally lighten up.
Yeah.
But again, he is starting his own downfall in this one, where more so in the second one was all like how life keeps dragging him down.
Yeah, that's a great point.
This one's where it's like he shows that selfish nature within himself, where it's like, oh, he saves Gwen Stacy, he gets the key to the city, his ego's huge right now. Where he decides,
and you've also got the buildup of just a few years worth of some traumatic shit happening.
Right.
Yeah.
But then like he's like, all right, fine. I'm finally getting my due as being this hero. Like, I'm getting to the key to the city, and he's like, all right, plant one on me, Gwen. Give me a smooch.
Yeah.
And then of course that pisses off MJ, his girlfriend, who he wants to marry. So he has that in his mind, where it's like, oh, I'm about to be engaged to the woman I love. So he doesn't really care. But while all this is happening, you look at MJ. She's like, dude, what are you doing? And then like anytime she's talking to him about any of her problems, he's just like, oh, you know, I get that all the time with these critics and whatnot, like Spider-Man this, Spider-Man that. She's just like, it's not about you. I'm just telling you about how I feel.
Yeah.
So again, Peter's showing that selfishness. And that's why he's ultimately going to lose her.
Yeah.
And
And it's like this, yeah, because you see, it's not even like in the beginning, it's not even fully malicious. It's just like,
it's just kind of dumb.
Right, where like, but the things have been, well, it's almost like the good times create weak men,
sure,
type of thing. But it's him doing all of it. Like,
right, he's being self-destructive. Ultimately.
Right, he created the good times, but in those good times, it's like, I mean, taking this line out of context, but it's like from Bane being like, peace has cost you your strength, where like he's like the ego has gotten like overcharged.
Right, where he doesn't even like
challenge. So it's like he's like, I mean, I'm just, he gets too lost in the sauce.
Right, although he doesn't realize what he's doing. I mean, it's like, again, after everything he went through,
I know, it's just that.
Lost in the webs. Lost in the webs. Okay.
Lost in the webs. Sure,
Yeah.
sure. I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Coin that term. But yeah, again, it's just like he's just ultimately, like, again, he's riding this high after everything he went to in Spider-Man 2, where it's like, oh, everything's great, everything's dandy, but he's not realizing what he's truly doing. Even when, like, after this key to the ceremony thing, you get his first interaction with Sandman, and he's even cocky in that moment. He's like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm the sheriff around these parts, and just, stuff like that.
Good, and there we get the good. That's like this good Spider-Man, like where he's quipping, he's being a kind of a douche.
Right. But talking, like, bring up Sandman, like,
Yeah.
he is such a good character within this whole trilogy of like he's just some guy who he's done bad things, but like ultimately for a greater good, right? He just wants to save his sick daughter.
Yeah.
Where
he doesn't have any sort of like greed motivation.
Right, and then it gets to the point where Peter's starting to like fade out of that good time stuff where he hears that his uncle's killer's still out there, so he's honing in on that, just like how he's starting to turn into how Harry is a little bit, where Harry's been so focused on getting Spider-Man / Peter, now Peter's just like, no matter what, I'm going after this guy. My uncle's killer is still out there, and what's nice though,
I think that's a very interesting twist that they. Or kind of a retcon, technically. So they do a very common comic book tactic here, but it's a great retcon. It's a really great addition to just the circumstances surrounding Ben's death, and like using that as a plot point. I just think is very interesting, and I get some negative points in the nerd realm for not knowing this, because I don't think in the comics that's a thing at all.
I don't think so either.
Clint Marco being in any way involved.
But it adds a fun, or like, an intriguing plot to this film.
It really does.
And it's like, honestly one of my favorite points of this film, because of course whenever he gets the symbiote suit, it's like, all right, full speed.
Oh, what a fight, dude.
That fight is unreal.
Yeah, the sewer fight.
And I'm like, dude, Toby goes so hard under the mask, where it's just like when he's screaming and welching and all that stuff, it's just like, dude, he is pouring his heart.
Oh, and then just like the good riddance.
Good riddance.
That's not like that is hard. That line is hard for Spider-Man to be saying.
I know, man.
Good Lord, dude. And yeah, he's like doing like sawing the face off on the side of the train. And
yeah, that's my favorite. Like
brutal.
That's my favorite image from that whole fight.
Yeah,
honestly.
where he's like
just shoving his face against the train.
It's a legendary. If you just take a screenshot of that, imagine
I wanted that as a poster as a kid,
dude. Imagine that like the movie coming out now, and it's like that's a leaked like screenshot or like revealed image from Spider-Man 3. Like I would be like, this movie looks fucking awesome. Like this looks insane.
Right.
I'm in. And even as a kid, I was like, all right, I'm in.
It's really good.
Oh yeah,
it's
the CGI
really good.
holds up, like with the second one.
Exactly, I agree.
I guess before getting into the whole black suit part, I guess we should talk about. We'll talk about Harry at this point in the film, where it's of course Peter's. You just got done talking to Aunt May about how he wants to marry MJ, so he's on top of the world, and then like out of nowhere, his best friend starts attacking him.
Yeah. Oh man, what a crazy sequence!
Great sequence, man. Like I love seeing Harry on this like hoverboard glider.
Yeah.
I really like Harry's. I honestly really like his design in general. I think the mask could be a little better, but overall, I like how slick he looks.
I was gonna say, I think that's one element where I think the costume could have been improved.
I still think it looks slick, but I still think that they could have done more. I'm not gonna argue against that.
I think, I think maybe the helmet thing could have stayed, but I think it would have been cooler if maybe he had like goblin armor that was like similar, and it's like, oh, there was like, Norman had like he made like other forms of the combat suit. And that was like in the storage. I think that would have looked cooler.
That would be cool, or maybe just like it's the same mask, but maybe it has the eyes from the original Goblin mask as like the
the yellow lenses. Yeah,
that would be all I would need. Frankly.
Well, especially for Hobgoblin, bro. And they do it in No Way Home, but he would have benefited from a sick like stealth hood or something.
True.
Even though I don't know how well that would have stayed up on a really fast hoverboard thing. But regardless, I think, I don't know, some kind of cloak or like tactical hood would be pretty dope. Because the idea of his suit is that it's supposed to be some kind of like stealth variant.
Sure.
I don't know if they just would have kept perhaps a visual continuity with the first costume to be like, yeah, this was designed by like Oscorp R&D. I don't know. I just think it could look cooler. I'm not really a fan.
Right. Well, and here's something that I always realize this whenever I give this film a rewatch. Sam Raimi has almost this most identical shot every single time Harry knocks his noggin. Like, there's something about how it's shot and when he hits it. He hits it 3 times within this film. It's almost like identical every time he hits his head.
Really?
There's the first interaction, which is about the fight we're talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then there's the second fight between these two where I think Peter, like, punches him or something happens where he hits his head, like, within his mansion. And then there's this third way of this happening in the final fight. Where I swear almost every single time it's like almost identical, just with a different setting. I'm like, Raimi, I don't know what you're trying to show here, but I mean, it's like, I swear, you go back, rewatch, like, they're almost all identical shots.
Do you think it's I don't know what to think of that. Do you think it's intentional? Did it have any meaning to you? That feels like, because I know other people, like, I still remember this one thing, like, from it was talking about, like, Phantom Menace, and it was talking about in, like, how the pod racing is filmed, and it was just like how it made a fair point that it's just kind of like the same angle every time, but just like different locations. I don't know. Do you think it's something like that where he just kind of had the same, like, angle in his mind and it just happened that way?
I guess that's probably it, but I thought it was interesting because I just rewatched it.
Yeah.
It's always the exact same, like, hitting the head. And it happens 3 times in the movie. I'm like, Harry, my God, man. And it takes the first time for him to have some memory damage. But yeah. Let's see. I guess we can get to the part of the symbiote itself because, I mean, that's a beautiful part of the film.
Yeah, let's do it.
That initial
part.
That initial reveal of Peter in the black suit is truly one of the hardest scenes of any superhero movie of all time. And there's the beginning
That's
of
the
the black
upside down
suit,
shot where it comes out of the lens, right?
Yep.
right? And I love how the first sequence with the black suit and the last sequence are so epic.
Oh my gosh.
Because, of course, with this, where it's like he's hanging upside down, it's all black. I love that. And when he's swinging, he's going with so much style, and he's so fast. And then, of course, like with the last time we see him in this suit,
Dude, on the church tower,
the church tower, the rain. I'm like,
where he's just like, bro, that might be the hardest Spider-Man shot, like, cinematically. It's gotta be.
I think easily.
With the rain?
Yes.
Yeah.
But of course, with the first sequence, though, you get the theme, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah. The boom, like, yeah, dude, as it's pulling out, like, and the camera, like, spins.
Yeah.
I love, and honestly, also, I love Eddie Brock's arc with the
100%.
Right, we haven't talked about Eddie, so go on with that.
Yeah.
So, like, Eddie. I don't know. I love his arc because also it's like, I just hate how, like, Topher Grace, like, gets so much hate, like, for that character.
You think it's comparable? To me, the first thing that popped in my head is, like, with Jesse Eisenberg as Luther.
Yeah, exactly. Like they were both.
I think Jesse goes way better,
harder,
way different level of performance. But it's the same.
Think it's fair to compare.
No, but it's the same, like, hate though.
But yes, I agree. But it's just like, I think that, like, going from being Eric Foreman in a sitcom about the 70s to playing something like, you know, there's some jokes and whatnot in there, obviously, you know.
But he's literally Venom.
But he is literally Venom. Like, when he gets to it, like, I you know, as a kid, like, I felt it. Like, you know, I was just like, oh, whoa, okay, this guy's lost his marbles. But that's, like, the point of it, because, like, he gave in to so much indulgence and desperation, because he goes from Toby having the black suit, and quite possibly might be my favorite meme ever made from this movie, but where he breaks Eddie Brock's camera, and he looks at him and he just goes, "See you, chump."
Yeah,
and he just jumps in the sewer, and then Eddie Brock is just like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, the what the hell? The
delivery on that is just like, that's one of the lines where you're like, okay, yeah, dude, this guy is great. Like, the banter is just so nice, and then even the banter when he starts beating the ever living snot out of Spider-Man, and he's basically like in that moment, he's like, yeah, this is how it feels. Like, to feel like nothing, like you're nothing, like you can't lift a finger to stop anything happening to you. That's been my life. before this symbiote, came to me and made me powerful.
Well, that's what. Okay, so that's what. To go back to the point of like why people shit on Topher Grace's.
Right. Yeah. Sorry.
And again, I love that you brought up Lex as well, Brad, or Jesse, because I think in a lot of these people's minds, it's just like, oh, this is not how I visualize Eddie Brock or how I see Lex Luthor, but it's all in the service of the story of who they're getting. Where in this case, you get Topher Grace, which is here like for Toby's Peter, where it's like, oh, you don't need this big ripped dude, like this jock-like guy. You need this guy who's living almost in a identical life to Peter in a way.
Yeah.
Got this gorgeous girlfriend. They have the same job. They're both geeks, but one happens to be Spider-Man, right? Where
Eddie is more of like a douche,
right? Where he's had this power, and then Eddie in this film is finally given this power, and Peter has literally just made his life hell. Makes him lose his girlfriend, his job, and just his life. So
basically Topher gets Spider-Man 2'd in this.
He does.
Yeah, and it's like a reversal, and you see like what a person who's like not good, like Peter Parker, like they would easily fall to yeah.
And then you get one of the craziest scenes. Again, this goes after the whole church sequence, right? Where Toby's finally ripping off the symbiote suit. Where in this moment, Eddie is praying to the Lord to kill this man. I'm like, this is the craziest sequence.
Okay, another meme, and that's another one from that movie, is when he's just like, I need you to
kill that scene just shows how down bad the dude is. He has to pray for the downfall of this man.
Yeah. He's truly Brock has one hell of a crash out. He goes to the point of praying in a massive cathedral to kill Peter Parker.
And of course, all before this moment, like we're saying the true absolute downfall of Peter at the same time. Why he has to get rid of the symbiote, because one, he really hurts his best friend. He hits the woman he loves. So now he's just like, what am I? Like, what am I doing? Where is my responsibility at? I have this great power, but this great power is keeping me from having that responsibility. So he has to get rid of it. He has to get rid of the symbiote suit. And then we get to, frankly, the end of this movie is, honestly, I don't think this is something people shit on, but I'm sure some people do. But it's just like this whole final act where it's like Sandman and Venom teaming up, stealing MJ just to get out Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I love this whole finale.
Yes.
To this trilogy where it's epic. Like, it's one of the best fights in general of the entire trilogy. It's very comic booky because you have this huge Sandman creature, which is epic.
Yes.
But then you're an inch away from the death of Spider-Man within this film.
Yeah.
But then you get this beautiful moment between Harry and his father figure, even though Harry has never really accepted him as that, but that's what he's been, his butler.
Yeah.
Being like, listen, like, it's without a doubt in my mind that your father, he killed himself.
Yeah, going on a rampage.
He died by his own hand by the glider when I was cleaning up his wounds.
Yep.
So whatever, I know you're trying to defend your father's honor, but you don't have to have that fight. Your friends love you as your father loved you, as I have loved you.
Yeah.
What a beautiful moment, and that's what gets Harry to save Peter's ass in this moment.
Yeah, and it's truly beautiful. It's truly beautiful. Like,
nothing is more hype within these movies to me, where it's like Harry is back.
Yeah, it's rare, dude. That moment when they finally take hands and the theme like starts again, like
the OG.
That could be my most that might be the most hype of the whole trilogy.
It might be. When I was rewatching,
because it's kind of like that's like the end of their arc together.
It is, where it's like, okay, we're back, baby. Now we're both super powered beings who are going to save the city and save the woman we have loved.
Yes. Yeah, it's quite, again, it's quite literally probably my favorite point of the entire trilogy.
It's where
It's
that
all just leading up to that.
it's that ultimate redemption payoff for
Yeah.
Harry, especially how Venom is about to take Harry's glider and just put it into Peter, and Harry has that ultimate sacrifice in that moment, saves
And
his
it's-
best friend's life after everything he has done.
And that's symbolized in No Way Home as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
With Toby fighting the Green Goblin there, and then Toby taking the hit.
Well, and I was just about to say it all goes back to 1, where Harry, like, it's a reversal where he dies the same way as Norman, like getting stabbed through with the glider. But
instead of
this
trying to
time
kill
he's
Peter,
in the way.
instead of trying to kill Peter, he saves Peter.
Saves Peter. And then it's all you said, it connects again, and where it all flips again, and this time Peter saves fucking Norman.
And it's unreal. A beautiful moment.
It's so well done.
great
I
point.
didn't even think of the No Way Home connection. But
Beautiful
yeah,
point
true.
there, Brandon.
Yeah, that was great. Wow.
Thank you.
Man, yeah, see again, the beauty of like the dramatic parallels are excellent.
These parallels are, yeah, as you said, excellent. But yeah, man, like just having Harry and Peter work together to take on the Sandman and Venom is so epic. Like, I love them. Like, it's just like Harry, like, it's just that camaraderie is truly there. It's like it is best friends taking on this great threat together. Instead of Peter doing it all by himself throughout this entire trilogy, he has his brother.
Yeah,
his day one with him for his ultimate fight.
Yes,
Definitely.
yes.
And,
Yeah, and it's where he's finally facing 2 people at once.
That
True.
too. I was gonna say that, and I also liked how they really did a good job with like the conclusion to Sandman's arc.
Dude, it makes
And
me cry.
beautiful.
Yeah, and that I feel like that was a good way to wrap him up, and then also Venom / Eddie Brock's demise, like, as well, because I feel that like I feel, with Sandman's intentions, obviously it's like, yeah, man, like, there's a second chance for anyone, but it's just Eddie Brock was just so far gone that, like,
But Peter still tried to save
still
him.
tried to the very last second.
Well,
And
Toby
that's
screaming
what
out.
that scene is sick with the poles, like, and with
Oh yeah, dude.
That-
with using the sonic. Yeah.
and just make like the sound frequencies, like that was
Right.
just a 200 IQ move right there.
Oh yeah, it's excellent. But he still pulls Eddie out. Like, he wants
Yes.
to save Eddie, and then Eddie obviously he
Jumps
too
right.
into the power.
Yeah, it's another reversal almost of like with Ock,
True.
where with Ock he is actually like Spider-Man is able to, or really it's Peter is able to like inspire him and reach him, but Eddie's just he truly fully gave into like, I finally have like power to do what I want, and he couldn't.
far gone.
He's like, I can't go back to what I was before.
Right.
Right.
Because he probably knew, or maybe he was thinking about like, yeah, man, my life is over. Like,
Yeah, he's like,
I
probably
became a
gonna be in
supervillain.
I'll be in jail
executed.
forever. Like, probably put to death. Like,
Yeah,
Sure.
just jump into my
as being a super terrorist.
yeah.
Well, and as you brought up the whole Sandman like apologizing scene, such a beautiful moment, because as Harry forgave Peter for killing his father, more or less, Peter forgives Sandman for killing his father figure.
Yeah.
And again, that's the ultimate theme of this movie, forgiveness, where we get to the absolute ending where MJ is able to forgive Peter. And I saw this earlier on Twitter, or X now, how this movie doesn't have a final swing, which I think is beautiful, because it's showing Peter being selfless in this moment, being there for MJ, where we're focusing in on them and not just Spider-Man swinging through, which I think is a good.
Yeah, it's more of a. I mean, because even though there was intended to be chapter 4, like it's a very good.
It's an ending.
Yeah, it is an ending. It is an ending. Even though, again, I'm very that just makes me very curious for what the. Because I think the problem with that movie is that like the studio wanted too much shit, and Raimi didn't know like what, with all of what they wanted, like the script just wasn't. He felt it was all in like the writing. So I'm very curious about what was originally, intended to be like the conflict in this movie of like, what can we have Spider-Man face now? Just going from, again, it's such a good bow tie at the end.
Agreed. Just he has to handle his relationship first.
Yeah.
Not going out there and stopping some armory or some something, right? Instead of having that final sequence, he has to handle his battle of fixing his relationship with the woman he loves. Especially after what they just went through. Like before this scene, they lose this person so important to them. That Harry death sequence, that scene, is truly heartbreaking. As Toby says in No Way Home, it's heartbreaking because it was. It's such a powerful moment where it's Harry was there for you. He gave his life for you, your best friend, or my friend, as Harry says, and Peter goes, best friend. And I love it. I love it. Dude, so much.
Great.
It's also, again, 3 altogether with Kirsten Dunst too. Like 3 very, very good actors. Like everyone bringing their all, and
great actors.
Yeah, the emotional catharsis in that moment is off the charts. Again, it's one of, even from seeing this one in theaters as a kid, like it has always been one of my favorite films. And going back to our very first point in the whole stream of just like somehow there was a disconnect with this movie. And I think a lot of it maybe comes from Raimi letting out his more humorous side.
True.
Because again, if you've watched any of his other movies, like you get what's going on with, Toby acting crazy.
Right.
But
some dirt in your eye.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think it's got to be something with that just threw people off.
It was definitely wonky and goofy whenever we're getting that whole Bully Maguire sequence, right?
Yeah,
Bully.
Yeah, but Maguire.
But Toby is goofy.
Yeah.
So it fits, but now it's just an extreme level of goofiness for Toby.
And honestly, I think people kind of expose themselves in a way of like, do you really get Peter as well as you think? Because I think it was always a pretty accurate thing of like, okay, so take who Peter Parker really is, where we said in the beginning, he's a very earnest, very dorky guy. And I think, again, if you just dial up all of the negative emotions of someone like that, that is kind of what they would act like, is they go over the top into trying to be like a suave Chad and all this stuff. Like it is totally absurd because it is Peter, but it's all of the unnatural wrong elements dialed up.
And I feel like sorry, go ahead.
Well, it's okay. It just goes into that inflated ego. Like he's walking down the street after having the symbiote suit on. He's getting looks from girls. He's never been that guy, but he's finally, he's standing a little straighter now.
Yeah, but even some of the girls, they even notice, they're just like, "What's this guy doing?"
Yeah.
Some of them at one point are like, "What?" Because he's just he thinks that he's doing all kinds.
Now he thinks he's the hot shit. That's the
right.
Right after
he's
he
never
first
done that
realizes that
obviously
he's like,
goofy trying to.
Right. I mean, just such a good movie. I will never understand the hate for it. I think this is arguably Toby's best performance within the trilogy. With certain scenes at least. I like him best in 2, but I feel like in 2 it's mainly just showing life just breaking down Peter. Where in this one I feel like he has a lot more dialogue within this movie.
I agree.
Where it's there's the one scene where Harry tells MJ to break things off, and Toby's just breaking down through his eyes even. It's you can just tell he's getting destroyed. He just pulls out the ring. It's you see this
scene?
Not that scene. The scene at the park a little bit later in the film.
Oh, yeah.
He pulls out the ring. He's like, "You see what I won for us?" And she's like, "There's someone else." And then the shot on Toby is heartbreaking. It's just it's like in No Way Home. It's like he got stabbed in the back in that moment.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible, and it really is. It really is tough to watch. The scenes with the emotional stuff, you're just always
they're powerful, man.
Yeah.
And then Toby's just going to talk to his best friend about it all, and of course, not knowing that Harry is back, And then he realizes it after their conversation. It's like, oh, he's the other guy, and that's when the fight takes place after this.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I just think everyone gives a killer performance. The only things that I can see people like really poo-pooing on is at times like, yeah, sure, it can get goofy at times, but it's not that bad.
No, I don't think so either.
And then
See, way worse nowadays.
At times the CGI can get a little wonky. But for the most part, I think the CGI is great within the film, especially the Sandman birth is still to this day one of the most beautiful character entrances of all time.
Yes, the CGI for that sequence is insanely good.
Exactly. But this is like a minor gripe to me. The most minor of gripes where it doesn't like destroy my thoughts on the movie, but like just in the end battle where it's like, of course, Peter's getting beat in the shit, right? I don't know why his suit is more or less almost identical to how it's beaten up within the first movie, but the first movie, it looks so much harder than within this movie, if you get what I'm saying.
I think it's a lot of I think because it looks so like the costume department in the first one, I think it just looks like grittier. Like it's got like the dirt, the blood, like that. It really, I think it's a lot of the makeup that they do on his actual skin that makes it look a lot more intense.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. And again, that's a minor gripe. But I mean, there's something about like his fight with Goblin compared to his like final fight, like how beaten and torn his suit is in this movie. It's, I think it's very noticeable, but it's okay because I mean, the movie's still kick ass. Yeah, no, I still, I mean, I honestly like, and a lot of people will say this is some kind of heresy or something, but I like 2 and 3 better than 1. See, and that's, again, after this recent rewatch, I think I agree, but there's a special place in my heart for 1 where it's just something so comic booky about it, where I think I do like it more than 3, but I think 3 is a better movie with a better structure and story and deeper meaning than 1. But there's something about like it's very Sam Raimi to me in the first movie. Like a lot of his like
it's the origin, man.
Yeah. There's a lot of his vision is shown more so in the first movie compared to this movie. But I still think the overall like script and story and character development in this film is miles better than the first movie. Yeah, I think there is something more, and maybe it's just because I tend to like the stories that are like later into like the storyline of whatever story we're reading. I think, you know, there's just a lot more of like a dynamic change in 3. Like everyone goes through these very, very dynamic arcs that, and again, maybe it's just because we have the context of the first 2 films, so we can play more and go deeper. You know, that is what it is. I think that's why I think, you know, I tend to like this film more. And I can agree with that because I love the conclusion to a lot of these arcs. Specifically Harry, where Harry is one of the best characters within this trilogy, like, and he has a completely rounded story with a beautiful finish. So to me, Harry does make this movie, or this, specifically this movie. I think he has the best arc overall, but that's my I really bold statement, but I kind of agree with you. Like I think him and Peter's stories are so intertwined. Like my favorite moment of the whole movie is like the culmination of those arcs in the, you know, again, them taking hands and like him lifting Spider-Man up, and then like the death scene. Well, you get like a fight to the death between the two, to the point of them grabbing each other's arms to helping in this dire. Right. Whoa. Are you there? Yeah, I'm here, and you're still. Scared. That was strange. Yeah. But anyway. But no, you're right. It's such a drastic change, but again, I think completely motivated by the narrative. Well, all right. I guess I just want to hear, Brandon's final thoughts, and then your final thoughts, and we can, I guess we can end it because we went through the whole gist of it, I would say. Yeah, I think so, man. I guess we can. If anything, we can go into. I guess I have one more thing to touch on before we get into your guys' final thoughts.
Okay, yeah.
But how to me, there's always been this topic of Sam Raimi doesn't get Venom. And upon my rewatch, I'm like, I don't understand that criticism. I know we kind of backed that up a little bit in like I think our episode 1 or our Spider-Man 1 video, but how like we think he really grew up on the Ditko stuff and
Yeah.
But I think he really does understand the concept of the symbiote suit, and I think, frankly, people were just telling him that after this movie premiered, where he might believe it himself, where it's just like, yeah, I don't get Venom. I didn't want Venom in this movie.
Well, and that part's accurate. He didn't want to use Venom.
He didn't want him, but I mean, even then, like he brought Venom in and he handled the symbiote arc very well. And I
agree.
And I think he gave us a great Eddie. But it's a great Eddie for this version of Spider-Man, and that's what people need to comprehend: is that this Eddie is supposed to mirror our Peter in some aspect.
Yeah, I think that's it's a very interesting choice because, and comment on this too. But for me, growing up, I had two very specific, like where my knowledge of Venom came from, and it was, of course, the '97 animated, such incredible art. Shocker! Go back, Shocker!
He had to watch that for this movie, guaranteed, because a lot of that is taken from that animated show.
Yeah, so it was that for me, and then the bigger influence, and I think my favorite version, even though the comic origin for Venom was changed, but I love the Ultimate Comics Venom, where he doesn't have the spider. He's way bigger and more animalistic. Like there's constantly like tentacles coming off of him, and it's really like it's very like body horror, like because like he has a huge, always like the gaping mouth, but then you see around his like head and other parts that there's just like random like teeth sticking out of him, and like there's this, that to me that's a very creepy element, and there's no spider. It's just completely pure black like Venom. And they change his origin where it's not an alien. It's like a almost full on like organism created in a lab.
Right, by Eddie and Peter's.
Yeah, by the Parkers and by the Brocks, who are both scientists. And I find that origin fascinating.
Well, I like that they're like brothers. Like Eddie is Peter's Harry within this
exactly.
concept.
Wow.
Yes, exactly.
That's a nice little twist.
Yeah. So the Ultimate Comics, that was before this movie came out by just a couple years. So so having both of those two things and knowing the Secret Wars like actual origin, I think this, going back to your comment, it's another, as it's literally happening on screen, which is kind of a cool scenario. I think that this is a very and with the shot, like the silhouette of the Venom mouth, like I think this is a very well done handling of the origin.
Well, because Raimi clearly watched the animated series, and like that took a lot of inspiration for this version of Venom. I will say though, to go to your point of the Ultimate Comics, I think if he wasn't like forced to have Venom in this, he would have gotten the Venom maybe before.
Maybe so.
And if that's the case, I think Raimi may have restrained himself a little bit with this Venom, even though I really do like what he was able to do, right? But based on what you were just like describing, based on the Ultimate version, like with how it's like very like tentacle-y and like teeth are insane, I think he probably would have went way darker with Venom if he had more time.
I agree.
With the full-on design. And of course, I love how the suit looks behind the scenes sometimes, where it's just the whole glossy and like the big white spider suit.
They tried it.
I do love what we got. I think it's a very iconic suit.
It's super for Venom, and I agree with you. The touch of keeping the webbing.
I love the webbing.
The black suit is sick.
But of course, I love the clean, like matte look.
Yeah, with the white box.
Right, but I think we'll get that with
Tom. The webs are with the fists.
Right, I do think we're gonna get that version with Tom, which I can't wait to see in live action. but I'm very grateful for the suit we got because it's just iconic and it matches the tone of the rest of the trilogy. And again, like that's why maybe Sam didn't have to go that supernatural with Venom in this.
Yeah.
Because it still keeps the tone of this feeling, even though it's like crazy shit happens. Of course, you have this huge sand creature, right? It's still more or less in the realm of reality in an extent, where where like of course like that huge bulking Venom is something you want with a Tom's Spider-Man, since he's within that universe of like this, like you have the Sorcerer Supreme, you have Thanos, you have all this stuff. So,
yeah, I mean they go full cosmic, so like why not?
Right. So,
and I'll be honest, I really enjoy the Tom Hardy design.
I like the design. I just don't like how Eddie Brock is.
The characterization's all wrong.
But I love the design. I'm with you there,
dude. And just throw a spider on it.
I thought the first one wasn't that bad.
I agree. I don't think the second one's not good, but I think
it's bad.
But the Carnage,
they all look sick.
Yeah. Like the Carnage and Venom fights are pretty excellent.
Yeah,
the fights are okay.
But otherwise, the movies aren't very good. But
no. Hey, if the third one has Andrew,
if the third one just needs a Spider-Man in there, and it's gonna kick ass.
If it has it in there, my ass is in the theater.
Exactly.
The other two, I did not show up, but if there is a Spider-Man in that film, I'm there.
It's the last dance, baby.
It has to be.
I need redemption because I saw Let There Be Carnage in theaters.
I did too, and I remember walking out of that. I'm like, oh, this is garbage.
Look what moment. Yes, one of the best memes.
Ooh, I will say what is a. I noticed this upon my rewatch. There was not enough. There was not enough J. Jonah Jameson within Spider-Man 3.
Oh, but the scenes are amazing.
The scenes are great, but
with the aspirin, oh my gosh, the physical comedy is just on point.
Brilliant. It's brilliant, but I mean, compared to like what he does in Spider-Man 2, I mean, man,
yeah, dude. But the buzzer sequence and like, and he's like,
thank you.
Yeah, he's like. And he's mouth.
No, it's brilliant.
Or when Peter's sitting with his feet up and he's just like doing like the double kick. Like, oh, it's brilliant.
It's great. I just want more.
Yeah, I agree. I want more.
I always want more JK as J. Jonah Jameson. All right.
Yeah.
But anyway,
better be more in. Peter finally has to work for the Bugle in 4.
Oh, I would think so. He needs a job.
Where he's become Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Listen, we have the identity of Spider-Man. It's Peter Parker.
All right, so Brandon, you want to give us your final thoughts on this movie and maybe the trilogy as a whole, if you'd like. And then Brad, you can do yours, and I'll do mine. I think we'll close it out.
Oh, perhaps another little to tack on there. Maybe I'm sure we all have the same, but a ranking of the Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think we should do a ranking at the end of this as well. And then, so when you're done with your final thoughts, give your ranking.
Okay, on it. Well, as a whole, the trilogy, I just think it's better than most other Marvel trilogies we've ever gotten, in my opinion. And and I as like a really quick thought before I just run through each one really quickly. I just, in the very beginning of our conversation, when you said that some people compare the third Spider-Man to The Last Stand, I just think that's abysmal and doesn't really hold any water. Because The Last Stand was just not a good movie. Like you said before, it had decent parts.
I liked it as a kid, but just because it was cool.
Yeah. As a kid, I was just like, oh yeah, whatever.
Superheroes.
Yeah, superheroes doing their thing. But just even Q in that movie, I'm just they didn't even do a good job with him, which isn't that hard to do.
No.
And because he was born to be Wolverine, so it's just bro, just point a camera at him. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And so that's where it goes to stay with number one. I really like it because it's one of the better origin stories for a Marvel hero, because they dropped the ball with Wolverine origins. And they dropped the ball with other origin stories as well. The first Hulk, that wasn't that good of a movie. Incredible Hulk was great, but it's just you already know he's the Hulk at this point. So I think with Toby, we see someone before they became a hero. Like obviously with Tony Stark, that was great with the first Iron Man. But
to back that up real quick, I do think the 3 best origin superhero movies of all time is Tobey's Spider-Man 1, Iron Man, and Batman Begins. I gotta
Man of Steel over Begins.
Man of Steel, of course, is above Begins and Iron Man, and I think this and Spider-Man 1 are closer, but I would say Man of Steel is better, but
it's a better piece of cinema, but one is also a legitimately great film in its own right.
Right, but please continue, Brandon. I just wanted to go on.
No, of course. And I agree with the points you guys just said there as well. But basically, I feel that with his first, with the first villain he's ever facing is someone that he's looked up to, like probably like most of his life. That's just where like makes me think where it's like, whoa, like how could it get any crazier than this, like right off the bat, which I think is a good origin story for any character, because then it's just like, well, just wait, because the ride's gonna get even crazier. So that's what I like the most about 1, I would say. And
the same thing with 2. It's another person he looked up to.
Exactly, and I think that's like where it's gonna where like the second one where it's like, oh, surely this could never happen like a second time like in my life. And surely for Peter Parker it does. And I think that's what I like in 2, because it's just like it's the middle point. Like
well, we said like with BVS, it's the dark chapter.
Right, exactly. It's his darkest hour, like in moments like that. And I don't know. I just think that with Doc Ock, I like the cinematography. Like honestly, probably 2. I like the shots like the most out of like honestly all 3 probably.
Yeah,
because just like the way they did that, like, and that's what I like about No Way Home. It's like they stuck to some of like that same material of like how he moves, and I really respected that about No Way Home, because I didn't think they were really gonna I thought they were gonna drop the ball mostly with it, but with the villains. I thought they were just gonna do some cheesy bullcrap. But like with Doc Ock, I really liked his arc, in No Way Home, because it fixes like what could have like been fixed in 2, and that's what I think is like so tragic about 2, because you're like nobody wins.
Yeah,
if you think about it, like
because Otto came back, but he lost his life.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's what I like most about 2, and then 3. I just think it's like it's one of like the ultimate like showdowns where it's just like you really like, and I think it's really hard for in a trilogy to encapsulate so many different like character arcs in one film, and like actually seal them, pretty much all of them, up like pretty well, because most movies drop the ball with that, which I don't blame them, because that's a lot to like keep track of in like one film, especially like adding like Eddie Brock and Sandman into the mix,
and Gwen Stacy
so it's just like yeah exactly, and Gwen. So
I guess we didn't talk about Gwen too much, but that's okay.
Right, it's fine. But yeah, I don't know. I think with 3, you're really not left asking that many questions. You're kind of just like, yeah, okay, that closes it up pretty well.
Well, how would your rankings be?
My rankings would probably go like 1. I'll definitely give like a I gotta give it like an 8.5 out of 10.
Beautiful.
I think that's great as a first starter. And then the second one is fabulous. I got to give it like at least a 9, maybe 9.5. And then
I'm with you.
And then with 3, like I want to give it the same, but I think I got to give it closer to like 8.5 or 9.
Sure.
Like, because I still love it, but like it's not the close to 10 out of 10 that 2 was. Even though there's moments in 3 that I like more than 2.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
As a whole, though, I'd have to say that for 3.
What about the Spider-Man ranking of the actual like actors?
Oh, for like
who plays the Spider-Mans? Yeah,
like all 3 universe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, my ranking for them has to go Tobey, Andrew, Tom.
Yeah.
Tom's my least favorite. Like, I don't hate him, but like,
No, I like Tom, but he's my least favorite as well.
yeah, he's my least favorite of the three.
Yeah.
But Tobey will always be my favorite, no matter how many Spider-Man they end up going through.
He's just who we grew up with, man. Like the amount of times I've seen these movies just sitting at home, like on a Saturday morning or some shit, you know, like as a kid. I watch this all the time.
Yeah.
Eating breakfast with my dad, just like watching this shit.
Yeah. It's OG.
Utter bliss.
It is.
All right, Brad, give your thoughts.
Well, yeah, I mean, as a whole, very quick thought about Gwen. It would have been interesting if Raimi knew 100% that 4 was happening.
Yeah.
To see if it'd be interesting to use Harry being the one that kills Gwen.
Yeah.
And kind of prolong the deal to use the 4th film as like time to still deal with the fallout with like MJ and reuniting with her in that movie. And then this movie would be interesting if Gwen was the one that died in the same way of, the neck snap and all of that. Like that would have been pretty cool if Raimi did that shit. But I could, that's just a what if that I thought of while Brandon mentioned the bringing in all the characters. But yeah, I mean, I think overall, like, ever since I saw this movie in 2007, like, I've absolutely loved it. And I think this, I juggle daily, or depending on whenever I'm asked, I juggle which one would truly be my favorite. Is it 3 or is it 2? Like, it changes a lot. I still would probably default to 2, but the more that as I get older, this was the one that just kept going up in the ranking. Like the more I watch it, I'm like, this one again, it could be considered my favorite of the trilogy. And yeah, as a trilogy overall, of course the Raimi stuff is iconic. I think it 100% stands above all of the MCU. Like I would rather watch any of these 3 movies over any movie in the MCU anytime.
Agreed.
Like without question. And No Way Home doesn't really count because it's both the MCU, but it's like, these characters are in it. So it's like I would still watch No Way Home whenever, because that's still dope to see all of them. I mean, I think I like Zach's trilogy the most out of any comic book media ever made.
Fair.
Then I like the Dark Knight trilogy, and then I put this as 3rd.
But those 3 are
just because I like Batman more than Spider-Man. But
So is
but those 3
just superhero trilogies?
That's what I just threw that in on my
We
own.
do trilogies of all time.
Yeah, no,
But
yeah.
that could be a different video one.
That could be its own video, but my point was just to say, like, the quality of these films. Like, it's better than all of Marvel. It's better than many, if not majority, of DC films.
True.
But just because Batman and Superman are in the other 2, like, that goes above. Just,
Yeah.
I'm with
But
you.
yeah, I mean, I think they're all. Oh, and then for the ranking of Spider-Man, obviously Tobes is on top. Andrew, I'm gonna do a sleeper insert here, and I'm gonna say Spider-Man PS4 Peter Parker Spider-Man above Tom Holland. Before they changed his face to make him look like he has like fetal alcohol syndrome or something, the new face model looks awful. I'm talking the original, like what was in PS4 spot, like that. The way he looks, that actor, that voice, that face, like that to me is even better than Tom.
To be fair, Spider-Man PS4 is one of the best Spider-Man stories of all time,
and adaptations, easy.
Yeah, and it kicks ass. So that's a great mention. Great mention.
I do like that guy. I think his name's Yuri is the actor.
Yeah, Yuri.
I like him better than Tom. Easy.
Okay.
So that's my thought.
Awesome. Well, so as a whole, any of these movies are some of my most rewatched movies of all time. I can watch them any day. I can watch them any day of the week and like not be bored. I could watch it every day. These would probably be like my Lost on an Island movies to watch, because I just find so much fun. There's so much more fun to these movies, and there's just great deeper themes to these movies as well. And of course, I just love Tobey. This is the stuff I grew up with consistently. Spider-Man was always my guy growing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, Toby's the reason for that. And I'll give the animated series its due as well, because, I mean, I would watch that repeatedly as well. But yeah, these movies are just perfect. I love the bottom line themes of each single one. As I mentioned earlier in the video, the power and responsibility, the balance of your life, and then, of course, forgiveness and being selfless with Spider-Man 3. So no matter what, you can take these movies. Spider-Man is the most character, almost fictional character of all time, where any one of us can imagine, like, we have been at this point in our life. And I think Sam Raimi captures that perfectly. And Toby, of course, gives a killer performance. Everyone else involved. I love James Franco within this trilogy. But yeah, it's one of my favorite trilogies of all time. I'm with Brad. I love the Dark Knight trilogy, and I love, of course, the Zack Snyder trilogy a lot. I think this is definitely more back and forth with the Dark Knight trilogy for me, but only because I grew up way more with the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. But I do think the Zack Snyder Justice League trilogy is truly the most powerful superhero films I've ever seen.
Yes.
But Spider-Man 2 and BVS and The Incredibles are my 3 favorite movies of all time. So take that as you will.
There's a lot of interplay with these lists.
Right. When it comes to Spider-Man, Toby is my OG GOAT. But mainly because, again, how much time I've spent with this dude. I think Andrew, he would be my favorite if he had if he was blessed to be within better movies, even though I really enjoy his movies, but none of his movies are even close to these 3.
No.
And then Tom's my least favorite, but again, I love No Way Home. I love him within the Avengers movies. I think he adds he's a good, damn good Spider-Man.
Yes, I don't like him as Peter per se. Not to interrupt.
Very good.
I think his Peter is still like solid. But him as Spider-Man, I do enjoy, but just the least out of all. Like, if I have to rank it, it's just not the best.
Right. When it comes to Toby, I would say it's just like, I think he captures both the Peter and Spider-Man element perfectly, where Andrew, I think, is unreal as the man behind the mask. And I think Tom's great behind the mask. But again, I think their Peters lack a little bit, besides their relationships with their love interests, in my opinion. I think Andrew, Peter and Gwen within the Amazing Spider-Man movies are awesome.
Yes.
They have to do with the chemistry between these actors. I like Tom and Zendaya's chemistry within No Way Home only. But
interesting.
I like Tom's character the most, other than in No Way Home, in Civil War, not even in his other movies.
Yeah.
I loved him in Civil War, his banter with Iron Man. That was amazing.
It's
and his banter with the other guys, like with Falcon and Winter Soldier. That scene, the airport is sick.
Yeah,
I love that scene.
I would say, weirdly, in Civil War, Tom feels the most truly Spider-Man.
Which is weird.
I think with Peter, he's better. I feel like he's better as Peter in Civil War.
Yes,
when he's telling him he has this he walks in telling Aunt May that Mr. Tomei, by the way, awesome, but he's telling him he has this scholarship, and the way that he's talking in his room where he's like, I have homework, I can't go to Germany.
Yeah.
I love that line.
Yeah, I have homework.
You would say.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's great. And again, I love every Spider-Man we've gotten. He's my favorite character. I look very much so forward to the next installment with Tom, where we're finally hopefully getting more of the street level stuff and the symbiote arc. So I'm hoping he can climb up my ranks based on the future of the MCU, which I think is finally starting to, hopefully after Deadpool and Wolverine finally gets better, because we've been through a little bit of a dry spell post the last Avengers movie, or mostly post No Way Home, I would say. There's some good stuff there. For the most part, the MCU has been lacking. So hopefully whenever we get Spider-Man 4, of course he's going to be with Daredevil and Punisher probably, and Kingpin. That's where I'm like, all right, this is the Spider-Man I want to see with Tom. But anyway, when it comes to these movies, the Sam Raimi trilogy.
Well, and also, not to interrupt again, but we still have the potential conclusion to Toby's character in Secret Wars.
Agreed. And
very real, this same guy is coming back, because I think it's sick that now he's finally oh shit, these like him and Andrew's Spider-Man have finally gone like cosmic and like, oh shit, we crossed into a fucking multiverse and like all of this stuff. Like the high level sci-fi I like is like now finally in Tobey's world.
And I'm with you. I'm excited to see how he interacts with other superheroes besides Spider-Man.
Yes.
So that's going to be hype. So I can't wait for that. And the rumor is it's going to be RDJ's Iron Man, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man as like the main characters of whatever the second Avengers movie coming out is. So because the first one that's coming out is going to be like this new group, this new Avengers, but then whatever the main Secret Wars arc is, those are going to be the main characters.
Yeah.
It's going to be the hypest shit of all time.
Yeah, I really do. I'm very curious to see, like, because he's got two things, like, bringing into the performance is, like, he has, like, this, it's, like, old and new. Like, he again gets to be brought back to that inner Peter Parker of, like, dude, I still get, like, these crazy new experiences, but seeing it through like an older man's eyes, where he's in continuity, he's probably like 40 or something, and so now it's like still seeing like this, like, wow, this is cool, man. Like, dude, you got like a robot suit, like, whoa, what?
Well, here's the thing, man.
Like, holy shit!
Well,
there's a wizard.
This is something else.
Yeah, this is something else. Like that would be perfect.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, Tobey has this line within No Way Home where it's like, you know, I am blown away by the fantastical nature of what we do, just by like how he goes to this different universe, and he's like, but then again, I'm also just like, oh, it's Monday, you know, this is just what happens. But he's
I was gonna say that's the other element of like, not only has he also faced supervillains, but like, bro, he had to do it himself.
Exactly, but now
I didn't have a team.
So it's gonna be epic to see how he works with it's gonna be epic to see how he works with like the Avengers, because we've only seen him work with two other Spider-Man, and it's epic. But anyway, when it comes to the point of how I would rank this trilogy as a whole, it's, to me, just ask me on any different day of the week, and I'll have a different answer, because all these movies hold a special place in my heart just based on the vibe I'm feeling that day. Do I want that super deep impact of the second movie, like just that balance of life? Do I want that more comic booky, fantastical nature of the first movie as this origin story, this birth of this my favorite character of all time? Or do I get this epic conclusion to all these arcs with Spider-Man 3? So it's all over the place for me, because I love every single one of these movies dearly. I would almost rank them all the same, but I think 2 is the best, like the best film.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's what I would say. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming on, because this has been an awesome conversation.
Yeah, I loved it.
Beautiful.
Well, dude, I look forward to our next one in just a little bit. Yeah, we got to have him back on for Kingdom.
Right. So yeah, no matter what, after Kingdom comes out, probably sometime that next week, we can for sure try to get a live stream going. All right.
I also me and you got to discuss it, but I think I'd be really down. We talked about it with Harris. I think it'd be fun to do. Only has to be maybe half an hour or something, but a review discussion on Civil War. I'd be eager to talk about that.
For sure. We just got to find a good time to do it. It would definitely be a shorter video, but I'm down, man. I'm down.
Yeah, cool.
All right, guys. But hey, thanks again for coming, Brandon. I'm happy this was your first time on here, because you did great. And of course, we talked about an awesome movie.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. But hey, for those who watched, thanks for coming by. Make sure to like and subscribe. Leave your comments down below, and tell your friends, because this is some good stuff right here. All right, guys, I'll catch y'all next time. Bye-bye.
See you, Schmoogie.